savageanswer@gmail.com and see if you can win the prize. And I'll just read this one. What is the solution to immigration changing American culture? Even with different immigration policies, is it inevitable that American culture will change with demographics over time? How can we make that a positive rather than a negative? Do you notice what I just did there? How can we make that a positive rather than a negative? In other words, you can scream from today until tomorrow that you want them all deported. You can scream all you want, but you know that's not happening. That's the absolutist position. It is not going to happen. How can we make what is happening a positive rather than a negative? How can we control the tide that is sweeping over America? I have many answers to that question, which I'm going to deal with, in time. But if you want to take a shot at that in a short, version, you can go to my website and look at the questions and send the answers. And eventually, if I like them, I'll include them as answers sent by my listeners to these very important questions. Because you know what I thought of? As I'm promoting, listen to this, as I'm promoting Countdown to Mecca, I'm finishing up a sequel to Stop the Coming Civil War for the Hachette Group. So I always got a chicken on the spit. I always have a chicken on the spit. I'm working on my journal book. I'm working on that. But the next big book I'm under a lot of pressure right now. I'm under deadline pressure because that book's coming out in October. I've got to deliver that book in June. I am working around the clock on that book. People say, I don't know how you do it. Well, I do it because I do nothing else. But I've hit a stone wall with some of these questions because I can't answer them myself. And then it dawned on me just last night, wait a minute. I have the smartest audience in the media listening to the Savage Nation. The people who listen to my show are very thoughtful. Some of them are more thoughtful than others. So I said, what if I pose these incredible, mind-bending questions on my audience and ask them to write solutions for the book, make it an interactive final chapter, and then give them something like, you can come on the show, you can read your answer on the show if you're picked, you'll certainly win a free book. But this may be the first interactive book I've ever written, never before thought of. I thought of it because I realized that no man is an island. I'll be right back.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
Your Savage Nation is sponsored by SwissAmerica.com. It's the only company I trust for tangible assets, gold and silver. Call 800-BUICOIN. Do women really love the dad bod? I saw this morning. It says, for some, pudgy is the new male ideal. SF-gate. They said the dad bod is not an overweight guy, but it isn't one with washboard abs either. They work out, but after going to the gym, they happily scarf down pizza and beer. In other words, the dad bod is more poppin' fresh, less Michelin Man. And they say modern women don't want the competition of guys who have washboard abs. The dad bod is what they want. They want slightly pudgy. And they do a whole story on why women now like the dad bod. One, we don't need a perfectly sculpted guy standing next to us to make us feel worse about our bodies. Two, we want to look skinny, and the bigger the guy, the smaller we feel, and the better we look next to you in a picture. Softer bodies make better cuddlers. Pudgy guys, pay attention. 4, we know what we are getting into when he's got the same exact body type at the age of 22 that he's going to have at 45. That's not true. I guarantee a pudgy guy at 22 is a little portly at 45. Hey, here's another reason, though. Pudgy guys make better lovers. That's right. A 2010 Turkish study concluded that men with protruding bellies last longer in bed than their thinner counterparts. Why? Chunkier guys have more of the female sex hormone estradiol in their bodies, which slows down their orgasms. This is interesting. What can I tell you? It's as interesting as ISIS. In fact, it's more interesting than ISIS, to me. At the end of the day, it's the pebble in the shoe. Do women really love the dad bod? Is pudgy the new male ideal? There's more. There's politics, but what's more political than sex?
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage. Warning. The Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation, home of unprotected talk, borders, language, culture. And here he is, Michael Savage.
Blue Monday, I hate Blue Monday.
That's good work, Robert.
Got to work like a slave all day.
It's a good mix.
Here come Tuesday, oh Tuesday. I'm so tired.
Now that we
got no
lost B.B.
time
King, you got to
play.
hold on to Fats.
Here come
So look, I touched on a lot of topics in hour number one, from Mad Men's final show to my novel Countdown to Mecca to the real Fidel Castro. Do you really believe the U.S. Army Delta Force really killed the ISIS leader? If so, where are the pictures? Do women really love the dad bod? Is pudgy the new male ideal? Etc. But there's many other stories I haven't touched on yet, because they just hammer you with Republican this, Democrat that, blah, 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 blah. So those are the questions we've touched on, and I think we ought to now play the race baiter himself, because the day wouldn't be complete unless you understood that while you were partying over the weekend or golfing, whatever you do, the devil in the White House was putting out more racial unrest and hatred around the clock from his microphone deep in the bowels of the White House. Listen to what the divider-in-chief said in clip 8.
That sense of unfairness and powerlessness has helped to fuel the kind of unrest that we've seen in places like Baltimore and
You
Ferguson
liar.
and
You
New York.
liar. You
It
race
has many
hater.
causes, from a basic lack of opportunity to
You
groups
liar.
feeling unfairly targeted by police.
See? Again, the police are dying, and he's saying to them, kill them again. You think I'm going to mince words? I'm not. This man is the devil. I'm convinced Obama is the devil. If there is a devil, let's put it to you this way. If there's a mythical devil, he's it. Smooth talk. He's Satan. The man may as well be Satan. Why do I say a thing like that on a national broadcast? Why? Because I believe it's true. But I don't actually believe there's a Satan. I believe that there's an evil, socialist, communist, anti-American, especially anti-European American man in the White House with a wife who's worse than he is. And I think that they do everything they can around the clock to foster hatred between the races. Moreover, I'll go a step further. How is it that a criminal like Al Sharpton, a degenerate race hater, gunnoff of the lowest order, who has a daughter who says she twisted her ankle and is suing New York for $4.5 million, and then she's filmed on top of a mountain hiking, how is it that degenerate lowlife is invited into the White House 40 times, and these empty suits in the media don't say a word about Al Sharpton, a criminal, degenerate race hater, in my opinion, invited in and out of the White House? Forget what you think of Al Sharpton. I want you to imagine if a right-winger had won the presidency, and shortly after winning, he started inviting the Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan in and out of the White House for 50 times. Do you think that George Staphylococcus would have let him get away with that? Do you think that George Staphylococcus, who's too glib to fail, would have not commented on the Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan coming in and out of the White House had a conservative won the presidency? You betcha. Do you think that phony Irishman, John McCain, would be sitting there like the phony he is day in and day out, peddling the military-industrial complex while doing nothing about ISIS? Do you think Nancy Pelosi, who has capitalized on the unrest in America, do you think Dianne Feinstein, who sits on a Senate Intelligence Committee, will be sitting there like the Queen of Diamonds herself, capitalizing on the unrest in America, letting ISIS rage across the Middle East and get up there today like the Queen of Diamonds and say, oh, we must do something to stop ISIS, like she just discovered it in the middle of selling as many products as she could around the globe? That's the opening to the show. And I'm not yet in a sweat. If you care to comment on any of these topics, the phone number is 855-407-282. It's only Monday. I don't mean to upset you. I mean to awaken you. And it's a funny thing. Of all these topics that I introduced in hour number one, people are calling about two topics only, mainly. They're calling about Mad Men, and then they're calling about the dad bod. Because, look, it's the pebble in the shoe, television and sex. That's what people are interested in. Now, I've known this for years, by the way, is that women really don't like macho warriors as much as you would think. It's what the imagery in the television would have you believe. Number one, men who are into that body shape, you know, the perfect abs, and every minute they're looking at themselves and exercising. They're in competition with the woman, and she doesn't need another chick in the house competing for mirror space. Let's put it to you that way. That doesn't mean she needs a blob running around, but we're talking about something in between. And then I read the article about the dad bod, why they're more practical and less Darwinian. And they say we don't need a perfectly sculpted guy standing next to us to make us feel worse about our bodies. Softer bodies make better cuddlers. And then they say they're better lovers. See, the myth is that if you have abs, you're a better lover. But a 2010 Turkish study concluded that men with protruding bellies, maybe it's true in Turkey, last longer in bed than their thinner counterparts. Why? Chunkier guys have more of the female sex hormone estradiol in their bodies, which slows down their orgasms. I didn't know any of this. Who knew? Who knew? But a lot of guys get frightened at age 30 because they think, oh, God, look at that. No matter what I do, there's a little belly fat. Oh, God, look at that, the gray hair. Oh, God, this, oh, God. Let it happen. You know what I'm saying? Do the best you can and stop eating your heart out already. First, you're not going to live forever. That's number one. And number two, you're not going to look like Adonis at 50. In fact, the harder you work out at 30, the worse you look at 60. I can guarantee it. I'm not saying let it yourself go. Don't get me wrong. Don't become an Archie Bumper with a tire on your gut. But there is some kind of balance somewhere, isn't it? So these are the topics. WJR. I have such good callers, God. WJR, Dave, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I work for one of the largest advertising agencies in the world. And I just want to give you a heads up on what's going on. Today, where I work, it makes Mad Men look like a cotton candy factory.
Well, wait, you mean that they're more competitive with each other? Is that what you mean?
Oh, God, no. It's nothing but a big party. Listen to this. At 3 o'clock, a bell actually sounds. That bell means the bar is open. They have craft service. They have a liquor license right here in our agency. All these just out of college tech heads run down there for their lunch hour, come back to my department higher than kites.
What do you mean? They're getting drunk on the job and the job is providing the liquor?
Yes, because...
Even in this day and age with the liability, you're telling me they're serving booze at work today?
Yes. Basically, the answer I was given, our company is based out of Germany, and there's more of an acceptance of that in Germany. So...
Yeah, but how can a person work when I never understood that in Mad Men, that every minute they say you want something, and they all had bars. You know, when I entered radio, there was a bar in a radio station that I worked at. That was common in the radio business as well. But how can an on-air personality ever have a drink and do a cogent show? It's impossible. So the same applies to how can you write anything if you're drunk?
Let me do something real quick. I was just going to shut my door here, and I'm going to tell you what I'm looking at. Okay,
go ahead.
I'm the supervisor over 25. I call them tech heads. But actually, our department is called the Swarm. And what they do is basically the music and the publishing rights to one of our clients is one of the biggest automobile companies in the world. That's why we're based here in Dearborn, Michigan.
Yeah, well, I want that client on my show, and they won't advertise. Do you know, by the way, none of the car companies will advertise on my show, even though my show has most of the drivers of the kind of cars that they sell. They won't advertise because the agencies are run by progressive, left-wing, fanatic Islamist liberals?
Let me describe the scene I'm looking at. Our place is so liberal it makes me sick. Okay, over here in the back corner, I call her Taboo because she's got so many tattoos on her that I can't figure out whether she's a man or a woman.
Now, please, we live in a diverse country. Isn't that pleasant to have someone who's tattooed like that so that you can feel diverse and cool?
My whole department is diverse. It's like a little United Nations.
Okay, great, fine. Can they do the job, though, or they just come there to look